Have you ever watched a Bond film and thought, that car is supposed to be cool? Because let's be honest, not every vehicle that graces the silver screen alongside 007 is worthy of the franchise. Some are forgettable product placements, others are gadget-laden monstrosities that push credibility past the breaking point. And then there are those rare perfect machines that define what a Bond car should be. Today we're counting down every significant Bond car from the absolute worst to the undisputed best. And trust me, some of these rankings might surprise you. Before we dive into automotive espionage, hit that like button and subscribe to help the channel grow. Number 20. Ford Mondeo from Casino Royale. Let's start with the most forgettable Bond car ever put to film. The Ford Mondeo from Casino Royale. Yes, seriously, a Mondeo. In a James Bond film. This silver sedan appears so briefly in the Bahamas parking lot scene that if you blink, you'll miss it. And honestly, that might be for the best. Ford clearly paid for this product placement, thinking they'd get some of that Bond magic to rub off on their family sedan. They were wrong. Dead wrong. The Mondeo represents everything a Bond car shouldn't be. It's practical. It's sensible. It's the automotive equivalent of beige wallpaper. No gadgets, no style, no presence whatsoever. When Bond tosses the keys to the valet, you can almost feel the collective disappointment of car enthusiasts worldwide. This is the car your accountant drives to work, not something a super spy should be seen in. What makes this even worse is that it appears in Casino Royale, the film that brilliantly rebooted the franchise. Everything else in that movie feels fresh and exciting. Then there's this Mondeo sitting there like a corporate obligation. It's not even the cool ST version, just a regular, everyday Mondeo that probably has cup holders and good fuel economy. The horror. The most damning thing, nobody remembers it. Ask 100 Bond fans to name cars from Casino Royale, and they'll mention the Aston Martin DBS. They'll talk about the Range Rover Sport. But the Mondeo, it's been erased from collective memory, and that's probably where it belongs. In the pantheon of Bond vehicles, this isn't just the worst car, it's barely a car at all. It's a footnote, a contractual obligation, a reminder that sometimes product placement goes horribly, horribly wrong. Number 19. BMW Z3 from GoldenEye. The BMW Z3 from GoldenEye might be the most overhyped, underdelivered vehicle in Bond history. Picture this. The marketing campaign was massive. BMW paid $17 million for the placement. Q shows off the car's gadgets with typical British understatement, Stinger missiles behind the headlights, all-points radar, self-destruct system, parachute braking, the works, and then nothing. Absolutely nothing. Bond drives it exactly once in Cuba. On a nice sunny day, with Nadia riding shotgun, they cruise along a perfectly normal road, exchange some flirty dialogue, and that's it. No chase, no gadgets deployed, not even a close call that might justify having missiles behind the headlights. It's like bringing a rocket launcher to a tea party and spending the whole time discussing the weather. The Z3 itself isn't a bad car, it's actually quite pretty. That classic roadster profile, the long hood, the short rear deck. In Atlanta Blue, it looked properly sporty, but in the context of a Bond film, it's a massive disappointment. This was Pierce Brosnan's first outing as 007. The world was watching, and BMW delivered a car that does absolutely nothing memorable except exist. What makes this worse is the wasted potential. The Z3 could have been brilliant. Imagine those Stinger missiles taking out a helicopter, the radar tracking enemy vehicles through Cuban streets. Instead, we got what amounts to a very expensive advertisement that forgot to advertise anything except BMW's ability to pay for screen time. Even the self-destruct system, usually a crowd pleaser, stays dormant. It's the automotive equivalent of Chekhov's gun that never fires, pure marketing over substance. Number 18. Renault 11. Taxi from a View to a Kill. Roger Moore's Bond films were known for their humor, but the Renault 11 Taxi from a View to a Kill takes the joke too far. This humble French hatchback appears during the Paris chase sequence, commandeered by Bond in typical fashion. And what happens next is both memorable and utterly ridiculous. The car gets sliced in half, horizontally, right through the middle. Now let's think about this for a second. Bond is driving this taxi, pursuing Mayday up the Eiffel Tower. He crashes through barriers, races along the Seine, and then a cable slices the car in half like a magician's trick. The front half, with Bond still driving, continues on. The rear half, with the passenger still sitting there, rolls to a stop. It's so cartoonish it makes you wonder if they accidentally switched reels with a Looney Tunes short. The Renault 11 wasn't even a particularly interesting car to begin with. It was France's answer to the Volkswagen Golf. practical, economical, about as exciting as watching paint dry. In yellow taxi livery, it at least stood out visually. But as a Bond vehicle, it exists purely as a prop for one of the franchise's most physics-defying stunts. Here's the thing, the stunt is admittedly memorable. People remember the taxi being cut in half, but they remember it for all the wrong reasons. It's not cool, it's not clever, it's just silly. And while Moore's Bond could sell silly better than most, this pushed credibility past the breaking point. The Renault 11 deserved better than being remembered as the car that got the worst haircut in cinema history, but that's its legacy. The taxi that proved even Bond couldn't make every car cool. Number 17, Aston Martin DB5 Vanquish from Die. Another day. The Aston Martin DB5 Vanquish should have been perfect. It had everything. Gorgeous looks, a thundering V12 engine, the Aston Martin badge, Q's gadgets, including, wait for it, invisibility. Yes, invisibility. In a James Bond film, in 2002. And that's where everything went wrong. Spectacularly CGI-enhanced wrong. The Vanquish itself is a masterpiece. Ian Callum's design is pure automotive sculpture. The long hood, the muscular haunches, that distinctive Aston grille. Under the hood, a 6-liter V12 produces 460 horsepower. This is a proper Grand Tourer, capable of 200 miles per hour. In British racing green, it looked absolutely magnificent, until they turned on the adaptive camouflage. The invisible car sequences in Die Another Day represent the exact moment the franchise jumped the shark. Watching Bond's Aston disappear like something from a Harry Potter film was painful. The CGI was obvious even in 2002. The concept was ludicrous, and it overshadowed everything else about this brilliant car. The ejector seat, barely noticed. The target-seeking shotguns, forgotten. The thermal imaging? Who cares when the whole car can apparently vanish? What frustrates most is that the Vanquish deserved better. This was Aston Martin's flagship, their most advanced car ever, and it got saddled with the most ridiculous gadget in Bond history. Even the film's producers later admitted they went too far. The invisible car became a punchline, a symbol of excess. The Vanquish itself is brilliant, but as a Bond car, it's forever tainted by terrible creative decisions and even worse, special effects. Number 16. BMW Z8 from The World Is Not Enough. The BMW Z8's fate in the world is not enough is almost tragic. Here's a car that had everything going for it. Retro-inspired design that recalled BMW's classic 507, a 400 horsepower V8 engine, an aluminum space frame, a 6-speed manual gearbox. This was BMW showing off, building a $150,000 flagship roadster, and then they killed it, brutally. The Z8 appears early in the film, delivered to Bond in Azerbaijan by John Cleese's equipment officer. It's loaded with gadgets, titanium armor, 6 beverage cup holders that deploy from the doors. Wait, cup holders? Really? That's the best Q branch could manage? But there's more. Reactive armor skin, heat-seeking missiles, all the usual toys. The car looks absolutely stunning in silver, those classic roadster proportions perfectly balanced. And then, halfway through the film, it gets sawed in half by helicopter-mounted circular saws. Not crashed, not exploded, methodically cut in half lengthwise while Bond watches helplessly. The scene is genuinely shocking. This beautiful, expensive machine reduced to scrap metal in seconds. It's almost mean-spirited, like the filmmakers wanted to punish BMW for their product placement deal. The Z8 deserved better. In the real world, it's a highly collectible modern classic. BMW only built 5,651 examples. Today, they're worth more than when new. But in Bond's world, it's remembered as the car that died too soon, the beautiful roadster that never got to shine. Those cup holders, though, 6 of them. Because apparently 007 gets really thirsty on missions. What a waste of potential. Number 15. Lotus Esprit Turbo from For Your Eyes only. The Lotus Esprit Turbo from For Your Eyes only exists for exactly one reason: to explode. That's it. That's its entire purpose. And while it delivers one of the franchise's best visual gags, it also represents a massive missed opportunity, because the Esprit Turbo was actually a fantastic car that deserved so much more screen time than the 30 seconds it got before turning into a fireball. The scene is admittedly brilliant. Bond approaches his White Lotus in Spain. A thug is trying to break in through the window. Bond carefully approaches, knowing the car's anti-theft system is armed. The thug finally smashes the glass. The car explodes in a massive fireball. Bond's deadpan reaction. I'll take the Citroen. Classic Moore-era humor. The audience laughs, the Lotus burns. End of scene. But here's what kills me. The Esprit Turbo was a proper supercar. 210 horsepower from a turbocharged 4-cylinder. 0 to 60 in 5.6 seconds. That wedge-shaped Giugiaro design still looks futuristic today. Lotus built fewer than 3,500 of all Esprit variants. This was exotic machinery, not some disposable prop. The bronze Esprit that appears later in the film gets more screen time, but does nothing interesting. It's just transportation. Meanwhile, the white turbo's entire existence is reduced to a punchline. A very expensive punchline. It's the automotive equivalent of hiring a master chef to make a sandwich, then throwing it in the trash for a laugh. The Esprit Turbo deserved a chase scene, some proper driving, maybe a gadget or two. Instead, it's the most expensive sight gag in Bond history. Number 14, Sunbeam Alpine from Dr. No. The Sunbeam Alpine from Dr. No holds a special place in Bond history. It's the first car 007 drives in the film series, the very first. And it's fine, just fine. Not spectacular, not terrible, simply adequate, which for the car that started it all, feels like a missed opportunity. But in 1962, nobody knew they were creating a 60-year franchise. Bond rents this light blue Alpine in Jamaica, and it serves its purpose. It's a pretty two-seat roadster. Very British, very appropriate for a naval commander on a Caribbean island. The Alpine was Sunbeam's answer to the MGA aimed at the American market. It had a modest 1.6-liter 4-cylinder engine, about 86 horsepower. Not exactly rocket ship performance, but respectable for the era. The car's big moment comes during the chase with the 3 blind mice assassins. They pursue Bond's Alpine in their black hearse, firing machine guns. Bond stays cool, using his superior handling to outmaneuver the larger car. The hearse eventually crashes and burns. Bond escapes. It's a decent chase, nothing spectacular. But it established the template. Bond plus car plus danger equals entertainment. Looking back, the Alpine seems almost quaint. No gadgets, no armor, no ejector seat, just a man, a car, and driving skill. There's something pure about that. But it also shows how far the franchise has come, or perhaps how far it's strayed. The Sunbeam Alpine represents Bond at his most grounded, before the excess, before the invisible cars, just a spy in a rented roadster, using his wits to survive. Maybe that's not such a bad thing after all. Number 13, Bentley 3.5-liter. From Russia with Love. Bond's Bentley from Russia with Love is a fascinating oddity. This is Sean Connery's personal car, written into the film because the producers were still working on a tight budget. The 1935 Bentley 3.5-liter drop-head coupe represents old-school British luxury, the kind of car a naval commander might actually own, if he had family money, and excellent taste. The Bentley appears briefly but memorably. Bond receives a call from the office on his car phone. Yes, a car phone. In 1963, this was space-age technology, the size of a briefcase. Probably cost more than most people's entire cars, but that's the only gadget. No missiles, no armor, just a very expensive way to take calls while driving through the countryside. What's interesting is how this reflects the literary Bond. In the novels, Bond drives vintage Bentleys, a 1930 Mark IV, later a Mark II Continental. Fleming understood that a secret agent's salary wouldn't stretch to new luxury cars, but a carefully maintained vintage Bentley. That suggested taste, sophistication, and a touch of rakish rebellion. The film car is gorgeous, that long hood, the flowing fenders, wire wheels. In Battleship Gray with red leather interior, it's impossibly elegant, but it's also completely impractical for spy work. This is a car for weekend drives to the country club, not high-speed pursuits, which is probably why it barely appears in the film. Still, it represents Bond at his most authentically British, before the gadgets took over. When style mattered more than firepower, there's something appealingly honest about that. Number 12, Aston Martin DBS from On Her Majesty's Secret Service. The Aston Martin DBS from On Her Majesty's Secret Service is the forgotten Aston. Overshadowed by the gadget-laden DB5, this gorgeous Grand Tourer deserves more recognition, because this is the car that takes Bond to his wedding. And his tragedy. No gadgets, no tricks. Just pure, elegant machinery for the most human story in the franchise. The DBS was Aston's newest model in 1969. Bigger than the DB5, more modern. The straight-six engine produced 282 horsepower. Not earth-shattering, but smooth and refined. The design was more angular, less curvaceous than earlier Astons, but still undeniably beautiful. In dark green, it looked properly menacing. George Lazenby's only outing as Bond needed to establish him as different from Connery. The DBS helped. Where Connery had the gadget-filled DB5, Lazenby got pure driving machine. The car appears throughout the film, from the opening beach scene to that heartbreaking finale. No ejector seats needed, just speed and style. And then there's that ending. Bond and Tracy, just married, stopping by the roadside, Blofeld's drive-by shooting, Tracy dead in the passenger seat. The DBS becomes a hearse, a beautiful coffin for Bond's brief happiness. It's the most emotional scene in any Bond film. In the car, that gorgeous green Aston is forever linked to it. The DBS deserves recognition as more than just another pretty Aston. It's the car that proved Bond's stories could have real stakes, real loss, real humanity. Number 11. Aston Martin DB10 from Spectre. The Aston Martin DB10 is unique in Bond history. It doesn't actually exist, well, not as a production car anyway. Aston Martin built 10 examples specifically for Spectre, 8 for filming, 2 for promotion. This was a concept car, a preview of Aston's future design language, and it's absolutely stunning. Even if its screen time is frustratingly brief, the DB10 represents a collaboration between Aston Martin's design team and the film's producers. They wanted something special for Daniel Craig's 4th outing. Something that looked like an Aston, but pushed the design forward. Lower, wider, more aggressive than any production model. The result is pure automotive sculpture. Those sharp lines, that predatory stance. It looks like it's doing 200 miles per hour standing still. In the film, the DB10 gets one proper scene. The Rome chase with the Jaguar CX-75. Bond deploys the rear flamethrower, uses the ejector seat, then drives the car into the Tiber River. That's it, millions of dollars of custom coachwork sinking into muddy water. The car deserved more. So much more. What frustrates is the wasted potential. This wasn't just product placement. This was Aston Martin showing the world their future. The DB10's design influenced the production Vantage and DBS Superleggera. But in the film, it's almost disposable. A beautiful machine reduced to a few gadget gags and a watery grave. Still, those few minutes of screen time are glorious. The DB10 looks and sounds magnificent, even if it deserved a better fate than becoming Rome's most expensive submarine. Number 10. Citroën 2 Chevaux from For Your Eyes. Only. The Citroën 2 Chevaux scene from For Your Eyes. Only shouldn't work. It's a tiny French economy car, 2 cylinders, 29 horsepower, top speed of 70 miles per hour, downhill, with a tailwind. This is the anti-Bond car, and yet it delivers one of the most entertaining chases in the franchise, because sometimes it's not what you drive, it's how you drive it. The setup is perfect. Bond and Melina escape in her yellow 2 Chevaux. The villains pursue in Peugeot 504s. On paper, it's not even a contest. The Peugeots have 5 times the power. But this is where things get interesting. The film's stunt team secretly modified the 2 Chevaux with a 4-cylinder engine from a Citroën GS. Upgraded suspension, better brakes. It looked stock but performed like something else entirely. The chase itself is brilliant, through Spanish olive groves, down impossibly narrow village streets, the little Citroën, bouncing and sliding. Always just out of reach, Roger Moore sells every moment, looking genuinely concerned about the car's capabilities. The 2 Chevaux rolls, it gets back up, loses its roof, keeps going. It's like watching a Chihuahua fight off a pack of Rottweilers. What makes this work is the humor. The car is so obviously wrong for a chase that it becomes right. Every time it survives another impact, you can't help but cheer. The villains get increasingly frustrated. Their powerful cars can't catch this bouncing yellow tin can. It's David versus Goliath with a French accent. The 2 Chevaux proves that in Bond's world, heart matters more than horsepower. Sometimes, the best car is the one nobody expects. Number 9. Ford Mustang Mach 1 from Diamonds Are Forever. The Ford Mustang Mach 1 from Diamonds Are Forever is remembered for exactly one thing, that alley stunt. You know the one. Where Bond tilts the car up on 2 wheels to squeeze through a narrow Las Vegas alley. It's one of those stunts that makes you go, how did they do that? Even today, 50 years later, it still looks impossible. And it almost was. The Mustang itself is peak American muscle. The 1971 Mach 1 came with a 429 Cobra jet engine, 370 horsepower, Ram air induction, competition suspension. This was Ford showing off, building a street-legal race car. In bright red, it looked properly menacing, the perfect car for a Las Vegas chase. But here's where things get weird. During filming, stunt driver Bill Hickman entered the alley on the right wheels, but they filmed the exit with the car on its left wheels. A massive continuity error. So what did they do? they filmed an insert shot of Bond and Tiffany Case looking confused, as if the car somehow switched sides mid-stunt. It's hilariously obvious once you know. But most people are too amazed by the stunt to notice. The rest of the chase is solid, but overshadowed by that one moment. The Mustang performs well, powering through Vegas streets and parking lots. But everyone remembers the alley, that impossible squeeze, the two-wheel tilt. It's become one of Bond's most iconic stunts. The Mustang Mach 1 might not have gadgets or missiles, but it has something better. A moment of pure, how did they do that, magic. And in the end, that's what great Bond car scenes are all about. Number 8. BMW 750iL from Tomorrow Never Dies. The BMW 750iL from Tomorrow Never Dies is peak late 90s excess. And I mean that in the best possible way. This isn't just a car, it's a remote-controlled weapons platform disguised as a luxury sedan. Q Branch went absolutely mental with this one, and the result is one of the most gadget-heavy cars in Bond history. It's glorious. Completely over the top, but glorious. Let's talk gadgets. Remote control via Bond's Ericsson phone, bulletproof glass and armor, regenerating tires that re-inflate after being punctured, tear gas dispensers, rocket launchers in the sunroof, caltrops that deploy from behind the rear bumper, a cable cutting system under the hood, electrified door handles. This isn't a car, it's a mobile fortress with leather seats and a premium sound system. The parking garage chase in Hamburg is the 750's moment to shine. Bond, controlling the car from the back seat via his phone, takes on an army of bad guys. The scene is brilliantly choreographed, rockets firing, caltrops deploying, bad guys getting electrocuted by door handles. It's mayhem. Beautiful, BMW-branded mayhem. The car eventually goes off the parking garage roof, but not before taking out most of the opposition. What sells this is Pierce Brosnan's performance. He looks like a kid with the world's best remote control toy. The grin on his face as he drives from the back seat is infectious. The 750iL might be product placement at its most blatant, but it's also fun. Pure, ridiculous fun. Sometimes that's all a Bond car needs to be. A 5,000-pound guided missile with heated seats and 16-speaker audio. Number 7. AMC Hornet from the Man with the Golden Gun. The AMC Hornet from the Man with the Golden Gun achieved immortality with one stunt. The spiral jump, the corkscrew, that incredible physics-defying 360-degree barrel roll across a broken bridge. It's one of the greatest car stunts ever filmed. No CGI, no green screen, just a real car, a real driver, and perfect mathematics. It's absolutely magnificent, even if the car itself is utterly forgettable. The stunt was actually computer modeled before filming. Cornell University students calculated the exact speed, angle, and trajectory needed. Stunt driver Bumps Willard had one shot to get it right. One shot. No room for error. He nailed it perfectly. The Hornet launches off the ramp, spirals through the air, and lands on the opposite side. The whole thing takes less than 2 seconds. But those 2 seconds are cinema history. What's frustrating is that they added a slide whistle sound effect in post-production. That stupid comedic whistle over one of cinema's greatest stunts. It's like putting a laugh track over Shakespeare. The stunt is so impressive it doesn't need comedy. But this was peak Roger Moore era. Everything needed a wink and a nudge. The Hornet itself is hilariously mundane. AMC's compact sedan was about as exciting as watching grass grow. The Red X stripe package couldn't hide that this was basic transportation. But that almost makes the stunt more impressive. They took a boring economy car and made it fly. Literally. The AMC Hornet proves that in the right hands, any car can be a Bond car, even if it's one of the worst cars America produced in the 70s. Number 6. Toyota 2000 GT from You Only Live Twice. The Toyota 2000 GT from You Only Live Twice is special for all the wrong reasons. This is Japan's first true supercar, a hand-built masterpiece. Only 351 were ever made, and what does the film do? Cuts the roof off one, because Sean Connery was too tall to fit inside. That's right, they modified one of the rarest cars on Earth because Bond couldn't fit. The automotive equivalent of hemming the Mona Lisa because the frame was too big. But let's talk about why this car matters. The 2000 GT was Toyota proving they could build world-class sports cars. Yamaha helped develop the twin-cam 6-cylinder engine, 150 horsepower, 5-speed manual, the Dion rear suspension. In 1967, this was exotic stuff. The design, penned by Satoru Nozaki, is timelessly beautiful. Long hood, fastback profile, those covered headlights. It looked like a Japanese E-Type. In the film, the car belongs to Aki, the Japanese agent. She drives while Bond rides shotgun. This was progressive for 1967, The woman driving, the man navigating, the convertible version created just for filming actually looks fantastic, but knowing they cut up a genuine 2000 GT Hertz. Today, these cars sell for over $1 million. The convertibles, they're priceless, literally one of a kind. The 2000 GT deserved better than being remembered as the car they chopped up for Connery. This was Japan announcing itself on the world stage, a genuine competitor to Porsche and Ferrari. But in true Bond fashion, practicality trumped preservation. At least the car looks magnificent on screen, even if car collectors worldwide still weep at what was lost. Number 5, Aston Martin DBS V12 from Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace. The Aston Martin DBS V12 from Daniel Craig's first 2 films represents Bond cars entering the modern age. No gadgets, no invisible paint, just a brutally powerful, achingly beautiful Grand Tourer. This is Bond stripped back to basics, and the DBS is the perfect car for that approach. It's raw, it's aggressive, it's absolutely magnificent. The DBS was Aston's flagship when Casino Royale filmed. 510 horsepower from a 6-liter V12, 0 to 60 in 4.3 seconds, top speed of 191. But numbers don't capture what makes this car special. It's the presence. That long, low stance. The aggressive front splitter. Those carbon ceramic brakes glowing through the wheels. This looks like a weapon. Because it is one. The Montenegro chase in Casino Royale showcases the car perfectly. Bond swerving to avoid Vesper in the road, the car launching into that incredible 7-roll crash. A world record at the time. They destroyed 3 DBS cars filming that stunt. At $300,000 each, but the result is spectacular. Raw, visceral, shocking. Just like Craig's Bond. In Quantum of Solace, the DBS returns for the opening chase through Italian tunnels and quarries, trading paint with Alfa Romeos. The car takes incredible punishment but keeps going. No gadgets needed. Just a brilliant car driven to its limits. The DBS represents a new philosophy for Bond cars. Performance over gimmicks. Reality over fantasy. It's a proper driver's car for a proper driving spy. Aston Martin sold out their entire DBS production run thanks to these films. Can't argue with that. Number 4. Lotus Esprit S1. Wet Nelly from The Spy Who Loved Me. The Lotus Esprit submarine from The Spy Who Loved Me is peak Bond madness. A car that turns into a submarine. Not with CGI, not with camera tricks. An actual functional submarine shaped like a Lotus Esprit. They called it Wet Nelly during production, and it remains one of the most ambitious props ever created for cinema. Completely insane. Utterly brilliant. Pure Bond. The transformation sequence is still jaw-dropping. Bond drives off a pier. The car plunges into the Mediterranean. Inside, Roger Moore flips switches, the wheels retract, fins deploy. The car becomes a submarine. It's so audacious you can't help but grin. This is Bond at its most wonderfully ridiculous. Taking an already exotic sports car and making it impossibly cooler. Perry Oceanographics built the submarine car for $100,000. It could actually dive and maneuver underwater. A scuba diver inside controlled it. The interior shots used a different Esprit on a gimbal, but the underwater footage, that's real. A real submarine that looks like a car, fighting off bad guys with surface-to-air missiles, because of course it has missiles. The regular Esprit was already special. Giugiro's wedge design looked like nothing else on the road. The 2-liter engine made 160 horsepower. Not massive power, but the car weighed nothing. It handled like a dream. But nobody remembers the regular driving scenes. Everyone remembers the submarine. That impossible, wonderful submarine. Wet Nelly proved that sometimes the best approach is to throw logic out the window, make the impossible possible, give audiences something they've never seen before. Mission accomplished. Number 3, Aston Martin 8 Vantage from the Living Daylights. The V8 Vantage from the Living Daylights is the most underrated Bond car ever. This thing is a Q-branch Christmas tree. Missiles, lasers, jet propulsion, deployable skis, tire spikes, self-destruct system, and a rocket booster. In a car that already had 430 horsepower, it's excessive, it's wonderful. It's everything a Bond car should be. Timothy Dalton's first outing needed to establish his harder-edged Bond. The V8 Vantage helped perfectly. This wasn't a gentleman's Grand Tourer, this was a sledgehammer in a velvet glove. The most powerful Aston ever built at that time. The styling was aggressive, those flared wheel arches, the deep front spoiler. In dark gray, it looked properly menacing. The ice chase in Austria showcases everything. Bond uses the laser to cut through a police car, deploys skis to cross a frozen lake, fires missiles at Soviet forces, then engages the rocket booster to jump a shed. It's gloriously over the top, but Dalton plays it straight, making the madness feel grounded. The car takes incredible punishment but keeps going, like Bond himself. What's brilliant is how the gadgets feel integrated, not just bolted on. The winterization kit makes sense for Austria. The weapons feel military grade, fitting Dalton's more serious Bond. Even the self-destruct system gets used properly. The V8 Vantage is the complete package, beautiful car, brilliant gadgets, memorable action. It deserves way more recognition than it gets. This is peak Q branch, the ultimate expression of weaponized luxury. Nothing since has come close. Number 2. Aston Martin DB5 from Goldfinger to No Time to Die. Here it is, the most famous car in cinema history, not just the most famous Bond car, the most famous car, period. The Aston Martin DB5 from Goldfinger changed everything. Before this, movie cars were just transportation. After this, they were characters, heroes, icons. This silver Aston didn't just appear in a film. It created a legend that's lasted 60 years. The gadget list reads like Q's greatest hits. Machine guns behind the front indicators, revolving number plates, bulletproof shield, tire shredders, oil slick dispenser, smoke screen, and of course the passenger ejector seat, that beautiful red button under the gear lever. Every kid who saw a Goldfinger wanted that ejector seat. Hell, every adult wanted it too. But it's not just the gadgets. The DB5 is genuinely beautiful. That perfect 60s GT shape, the wire wheels, the silver birch paint, it looks fast standing still. Elegant, but purposeful. British understatement with a license to kill. David Brown's masterpiece became forever linked with Britain's most famous spy. You can't think of one without the other. The fact that it's appeared in 8 Bond films proves its timelessness. From Connery to Craig, every Bond has driven the DB5. It's been destroyed, rebuilt, and destroyed again. But it always comes back, because you can't kill an icon. The DB5 isn't just a car, it's the embodiment of everything Bond represents. Style, sophistication, danger, and a touch of British eccentricity. It should be number 1. But there's one car that edges it out, just barely. Number 1. Aston Martin DB5 from Goldfinger. Wait, didn't we just cover this? Actually no, because the DB5 deserves both spots. The Goldfinger car created the template, but it's the collective impact across 60 years that makes it number 1. This isn't just about one film, it's about a car that defined an entire genre, that influenced every action movie that followed, that became more famous than most human movie stars. Think about it, the DB5 has appeared in Goldfinger, Thunderball, GoldenEye, Tomorrow Never Dies, Casino Royale, Skyfall, Spectre, and No Time to Die. 8 films across 6 decades. It's been driven by every modern Bond. It survived changing tastes, advancing technology, and shifting cultural values. While other Bond cars came and went, the DB5 endured. More than endured. It thrived. The car's influence extends beyond Bond. Every movie car with gadgets owes something to the DB5, the Batmobile, Knight Rider's kit, the Fast and Furious franchise. They're all following the template Goldfinger created. Take a beautiful car, add impossible gadgets, make it a character. The DB5 wrote the playbook everyone else follows. In 2019, an original DB5 sold for $6.4 million. Not because it's rare. 3,755 were built, but because it's the Bond car. The definitive fusion of automotive beauty and cinematic magic. Other cars might be faster. Some have better gadgets, but none have the presence, the history, the sheer iconographic power of the DB5. It's not just the best Bond car, it's the only Bond car that truly matters. Everything else is just trying to capture that Goldfinger magic. And there you have it. That's 20 Bond cars, ranked from worst to best. Which ranking surprised you the most? Did we put your favorite car too low? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this automotive journey through 007's garage, hit that like button and subscribe for more deep dives into cinema's greatest vehicles. Until next time, keep watching, and remember, it's not just about the car, it's about the legend behind the wheel.